This is Crash Course Literature. Today we're going to be talking about The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. This story follows Jacob Barnes, a World War I veteran and an expatriate living in Paris, as well as his interactions with his friends. Most of Jacob's friends are also World War I veterans, and although they never talk about the war, you can read between the lines and figure out that the war has completely consumed them. And The Sun Also Rises highlights the emotional and moral depravity of the lost generation. Rises is Ernest Hemingway's first novel, and there's a ton of parallels between Ernest Hemingway and the main character, Jacob Barnes. Both Hemingway and Jacob are World War I veterans who found difficulty adjusting to their homes back in America, so they moved to Paris to escape their old lives. Both also had an inner circle of fellow expatriates and veterans in Paris. Ernest Hemingway's inner circle composed of the Lost Generation, a group of World War I veterans who experienced the horrors of war firsthand. These artists, like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Pablo Picasso, had more modernist, horrid feelings about the world, which starkly contrasted with the traditional ideals. The traditional ideals talked about the glory of war and how it was inherently good and that war makes you a man. These guys went through war, and they saw no glory in it. Hemingway seeked to undermine those traditional ideas through The Sun Also Rises. The Sun Also Rises opens up with Jacob talking about his friend Robert Cohn, a middleweight boxing champion that went to Princeton. Robert gets most of his information from reading, so he conceptualizes how to live life and how to love from what he reads. This leads to him representing the old traditional ideas of the world. For instance, Cohn tells Jacob that he wants to visit South America because he thinks he'll find satisfaction and fulfillment there, to which Jacob replies, "You can't get away from yourself by moving from one place to the other." Robert has very archaic and outdated perceptions of love and war, which leads to him being humiliated by Jacob's other friends. He sees love as an obligation and allows himself to be controlled by the loves of his life. And this stands in stark contrast to Jacob's other friends, who have all suffered through the Great War and have come out as different people with different ideas on how the world works. Although war is never directly stated, it clearly affects the majority of the characters in Jacob's inner circle. Ernest Hemingway wanted to highlight the moral depravity of the lost generation, and he does this with this inner circle. We are introduced to characters like Michael and Brett Ashley, and these people all have their flaws. Mike Campbell's aggressive personality, on top of his constant stories about himself in the war, indicates that the war has never truly left him. It's implied that he is unemployed, unable to find a job, and relies on handouts from his family and friends. Mike's life is one long, drunken binge as he aimlessly wanders throughout Paris. Jacob Barnes himself was castrated during the First World War. His main need is for the love of Brett, and although they love each other, his impotency makes it impossible for Brett to commit to him. Being near Brett or even thinking about her gives Jacob severe agony and pain. And Lady Brett Ashley's true love died of dysentery during the war. Although she loves Jacob, the fact that he is impotent shatters any desire for her to stay with him. Because of Jacob's unavailability, she frequently jumps around from one affair to the next. She thinks that this will fill the void of Jacob's castration, but her lack of commitment to her relationships brings her a general sense of dissatisfaction. Fills their time with inconsequential, escapist activities in an attempt to fill the hole in their lives. They drink constantly. In fact, their only meaningful conversations happen over alcohol. It plays a pivotal role in The Sun Also Rises, because the characters perceive the drink as a way to escape out of their world and their problems. Sober Jacob perceives his inner circle as a group of toxic individuals who all despise each other. However, he states, "Under the wine, I lost the disgusted feeling and was happy. It seemed that they were all such nice people." Alcohol drives their joyless actions, and at best it allows them to temporarily forget about the war and how it has destroyed their lives. Their drinking and dancing and experiences in Paris's nightlife or Spain's fiestas serve as a distraction, a coping mechanism for their wandering, aimless lives. At this point, you guys may be drawing parallels between The Sun Also Rises and The Catcher in the Rye, and you wouldn't be wrong to think that. Both Jacob and Holden Caulfield tell the story in the same observant, implicit manner, and they both seek to escape their realities through distractions in their lives. And the lost generation's dissatisfaction with the world around them is what Hemingway wanted to show in The Sun Also Rises. Like Robert Cohn's situation, the traditional ideas and beliefs that we held about the world War proved unbearable for the veterans of the Great War. Hemingway's perception of war changed ours, and while war may be necessary, it will never again be glorious. All of the characters in the novel are unable to move on from the Great War, and suffer greatly because so. The Sun Also Rises teaches us that although we may leave war, war never leaves us. Thank you for watching.